Welcome, everybody. Super excited about this segment with Luke and Veronica Segreto, the documentary filmmakers that many of you have seen their work, but may not know it's them and their company, Indigo Rising Films. Guys, if there were the storytellers of our time for all things biostacking, it is the two people that you're about to hear from right now. You may have seen the really, at this point, famous documentary from these award-winning filmmakers called Stressed, which has been seen really around the world, telling the story of neuroemotional technique, all the studies that have happened in and around it, the miracle stories, how it's changing everything and anything, and disrupting really the whole mental, emotional, mind-body space. They have told that story. We're so excited because we got a chance to be part of that film. And then the follow-up, Applied Kinesiology, the best kept secret in healthcare, celebrating 60 years of George Goodhart. The story of Applied Kinesiology, anyone who's ever tested a muscle anywhere, it's because of this. And nobody knows the story of where it came from, but it was beautifully told by the Segretos, who are in the midst of another project at this filming. Who knows when you're going to see this? Maybe it'll be done. Quantum Neurology, I think the operating title is Nervous System Code. The story of George Gonzalez and the creation of Quantum Neurology. Also the worldwide impact and disruption, again, of the neurology space. So guys, you are super talented. You can do so much in film. There's obviously a lot of ways to make more money in film, but you have chose the path of telling the stories that need to be told in health and wellness. These silent giants that are changing the world one human at a time. And you have been able to really broadcast and beautify these stories by preserving and showing the science and yet making it something that's not boring to watch. So how did we, first of all, welcome to BioStacking Summit 4.0, number one. Number two, how did we get here? How did we get to this kind of mission, vision project?
Well, thank you. Yeah, well, thank you so much for that really nice intro. But I grew up, my dad's a chiropractor, so I grew up in the natural health world, and I had NET affect me as a child. It completely changed the trajectory of my life, and it just, once I had that experience, there was really no coming back from it, and I just knew one day I wanted to eventually make a movie about NET, and that ended up actually coming to pass. So from all of that, and just being in the muscle testing world and growing up being around natural health care, it's had a really important, since we met, obviously, she had no choice but to be kind of join into that world. So it's been really just amazing to kind of be able to tell the stories of the stuff that's actually changed both of our lives, and then be able to help people and facilitate amplifying their voices to be able to get these messages out. Because I think it's really important that people know that these options exist, because I think that's really the most important part of what we do, is just helping people get their voices out there, because this work is so important and we want more people to know that this work exists.
Yeah, we live and breathe natural health care. It's a part of our life every day, every second of the day. So I really can't imagine us telling any other stories besides stories existing within this umbrella.
So I'm going to ask you another question because people want to know, since we got you to actually sit down without a lens in front of you for a second. I know this is my personal experience, as you know, Dr. Christine Cohn, what it's like to have two juggernaut, powerhouse, creative, healing minds. How do the Segretos do it? Okay, each one of you could have gone your own direction, been your own, director, filmmaker, producer, and yet you're working together, having a functional, great, loving relationship, and making the space for the two different yin-yang, if you will, of these visions. How do you do it? People want to know.
Oh my gosh. Well, this has always been Luke's life. Like, he's been wanting to be a filmmaker since he was 14 years old. So for me, it's just been learning from him, and I kind of just fell into this role, and I've found my creative purpose in this role as well. And I think we work really well together. Yeah. I think we really balance each other out.
And yeah, she's had no choice but to listen to me talk about this stuff endlessly since we met. So she kind of just learned from that, and then it ended up being that she actually had an important part of our process where she actually excels a lot of parts where I needed help. And she's a really great person to leads a lot of the interviews, most of the interviews, and basically has just a different eye and sees things a little bit differently than me sometimes, and we really complement each other that way.
Luke is very technical. He has like the technical aspect down pat, and that which gives me room to be creative and not have to worry about necessarily the super technical stuff. So we kind of balance each other out in that way.
Yes.
Well, I got to say, I mean, one of the most beautiful parts of this is, there's a lot of people making films, a lot of people making documentaries, and maybe somebody's passionate about a project, so they're doing it. Hopefully, some people do it because it's a strategic thing, but you really have grown up, in this world, this kind of thought, really unlike everyone else. So it's a unique perspective to be able to tell these stories. So growing up, being, Luke in your dad's office and seeing all these miracles happen with muscle testing and NET and using nutrition and adjusting the spine and doing these quantum neurology things and all these things. How do you think that's kind of shaped why people feel they get it when they watch these films and they're not just data dumps?
Yeah, well, I think it's important for us, like she was saying before, in terms of just we live this. Like, this is not just like a thing that we do. I mean, it is a thing that we do, obviously, but I mean, it's very much, we care a lot more about making sure that the message gets across. More importantly than us kind of telling a story the way we want it, we really want to make sure that we're capturing the vision of the people that we're capturing, like finding the story that's there rather than kind of pushing some sort of agenda of what we think the story should be. Like, obviously it's a co-creation, it's a collaborative process, and there's still the creative aspect of what we do, but we really do our best to capture what's there and make sure that, because a lot of this stuff is somewhat complex and complicated, and people that have never experienced natural healthcare may have a hard time kind of understanding the concepts. And I've kind of grown up with those concepts, so I'm familiar with a lot of that information and understanding just being around muscle testing and having muscle testing done for 25 years has definitely impacted my ability to kind of interface with a lot of this information and be able to, because we are both lay people, so we're essentially coming at it from that perspective of trying to kind of, in a sense, translate what these complex concepts in a way that's easily digestible for people, because that's really where the cog in this tends to be, is where people, they know they had a great experience, but they have a really hard time communicating that to friends or family members, and they may leave your office or something and have an amazing experience, but not have the words to kind of describe that. But I mean, you do a really good job of explaining that to people, but not everyone has that breakdown to be able to explain what happened. I think that's a big part of what we do.
Yeah, I think that's kind of our mission, is to help these organizations, these people, these individuals bring awareness to the large masses. And I think that we have a good understanding and we have the same vision.
So, and we'll talk about it a little bit because I want to go through the journey a little bit, starting with Stressed and that breakthrough film and how millions of people have seen it now. And because of that, we've seen, NET, neuroemotional technique, in universities around the world, and, famous TV shows like Grey's Anatomy, all these different things post this production, and all the way to you guys being able to pull the stories out. Like each of these clinics, like this whole BioStacking Summit, is highlighting doctors and practitioners that have been around the world, studied different things, put them together in their own unique format, and then created this healing brand or technique. And it's all, as you've interviewed now, probably hundreds of doctors and practitioners and patients, can see that each office could be its own technique and now its own documentary. I know that maybe we'll talk about it in a little bit, but I know a lot of these offices have such a following and practitioners, whether they're athletes or people with that are famous athletes, all the way to people with the most severe health challenges, to the very wealthy, business people of influence, flock to these offices or see these practitioners. And I know that some of these practitioners have gone with you personally, and that you've made like mini documentaries, if you will, about their office and their offering and things, which is super cool that they had the vision to know that they have something to tell, but that you are able to actually bring out the beauty in each and every office. And I think a lot of people saw that when they saw themselves in the films, whether it's the NET film or the AK film or the upcoming Quantum Neurology film. And I know it's gathered a lot of support. A lot of people have donated money to research foundations and other things related to these techniques to really help do that and validate it, because we have to be able to tell this story, because as they say in all aspects of business, which is facts, when we say facts tell, stories sell, right? You can delineate all these different facts about something and people forget it by the end of the day, but we remember bedtime stories, not bedtime facts. So, let's go back to the NET, the breakout film. I mean, what'd you learn? What surprised you about it? You kind of knew what you knew from your dad, but you got a chance to interview the Scott Walker and Deb Walker who created it, all the way to practitioners that treat, Olympiads, to NFL football players, to people with severe neurologic and cardiovascular issues, and seeing those people respond and come back in what most people describe as a miracle. What was the process like? What'd you learn, and what inspired you to go, hey, let's do it again?
I mean, through the whole process of just, like, we already knew that NET was amazing, right? But getting to actually, through that project, and I guess I'll continue it into just from working on the AK project and the QN project, that there's just so many incredible doctors all over we've experienced all over the country. I know also all over the world, but just like you said, there's just so many people that have everyone is out there doing incredible work. And a lot of people just have word of mouth practices because once they started, they never stopped being busy because the work works. And that's really a big part of it for us that, like, it works. And I feel like being able to experience all these different people's stories and just see how much more far-reaching it was than even I feel like I've understood, because I knew that for us it worked, and I knew there were people out there, but then actually getting the chance to sit down with people and just hear story after story after story, it was just really cool to kind of have that image widen in our heads of how powerful this work actually is.
And each individual person that we interviewed, doctors, they all bring their own unique ability to whatever they're doing. So we've interviewed a lot of people who are technically doing the same technique, but everyone's different and everyone's story is very different. And I think people connect to the story. It's not necessarily what they're connecting to the technique, they're connecting to the person. And I think that that's something that we've learned. And I think that's what we bring of value, is helping people connect to the individual, not necessarily the technique, which is in this world when you're trying to advertise for yourself, I think that that's the way forward.
Absolutely. Going from the NET documentary, where we're talking about a growing technique that's been around for 35 to 40 years, with the founder, teacher still alive and with us, and still, like, the complete story isn't written. Then moving into a much deeper history, a historical piece, really, an applied kinesiology, the best kept secret in healthcare, and telling the story of George Goodhart, who's no longer with us, bringing the dead, the past, the moved on to life. It's a different story. And getting people to not just celebrate the existence of applied kinesiology, the fact that none of these techniques would exist without applied kinesiology, and the fact that being able to tell what it is and what it isn't without throwing dirt or making other people wrong for doing whatever they're doing that may be borrowing that name, and then to celebrate the life of somebody and its origin story, as if he's in there in the room with you. How is that different?
I mean, it was definitely the most different project that we've done. And it was very interesting, like you're saying, because we were coming in to it from something that's been around for 60 years. It was definitely and obviously even like connecting the history before that, but it was actually really, really cool for both of us to kind of see just how NET had evolved from that, and then seeing the origins of what Dr. Goodhart, that being one of Dr. Scott Walker's mentors, and just kind of seeing like the kind of just those like storylines and like how the different things were discovered and how it all kind of comes back to what's happening right now was very, very cool to kind of connect a lot of those dots that I wasn't even aware of. Like, I knew the history of NET to an extent. I didn't really know that much about AK. I'd heard it in passing. I've heard people mention AK, but to actually have that picture kind of filled out for us to kind of see like, oh, this is where all this came from, and just to see the history of muscle testing and all these incredible discoveries that Dr. Goodhart made, it was just really, really cool to kind of learn these things that, like, again, have been benefiting from NET for a very long time now, and seeing that all that stuff that came before to get us to be able to get the benefits of that was just really cool. And now since then we've met a lot of AK doctors and learned about how great that is. So that's been really cool too.
Awesome. So we're in the midst of, at the time of this recording, depending on when somebody's seeing it, of the filming and production and post-production of the Quantum Neurology documentary. And this is a different kind of project, which is cool because there's a lot of stories to tell that are magnificent, that could be its own mini-series, if you will. But I think this one is going to be what we maybe could elaborate on it. And for people watching and go, man, I'd love to do this for myself, or the technique I love, or something I want the world to know about, you're doing this as a short form documentary. Now, I've been helping part of it, but whether it's a NET or it was a group effort, fundraising, money raising to fund these documentaries because they weren't destined for Hollywood, although there are clips that could be. It was really destined to create a legacy piece that will last generations, which I believe it will, based on the amount of people that see it, watch it, and share, whether it's the NET or the 8K one now. But the Quantum Neurology one, there's been a lot of success where instead of having a long feature that might be an hour plus, having a 30 give or take documentary, which is enough to tell the story, but not too much where people shut it off, right? And the story is still young. I mean, Dr. Gonzalez is still in the midst of creating. There's a research that's happening, but the history already of quantum neurology is a story that needed to be told. So maybe you can speak to that, like how this is going to be a little different.
Yeah, so in the past two longer form documentaries that we did were very much like educational. It's kind of setting the tone for the next film, like laying down the groundwork. And then for this documentary, it's a little bit different because it's really getting into Dr. George's head and into his passions and how he came to discover this technique that he's developed. Is there more you want to say on that?
Yeah. It's been really cool to, like you said, it is still. There's a lot still unfolding, especially with the formation of the Quantum Neurology Research Foundation. So it's been cool to kind of be tracking the development of that, and it's still like kind of unfolding as we're in the middle of filming, which has been even from when we first started the project a few months ago to now. Like there's already been change. Things have already happened in with the research, and it's just really exciting to be kind of real time, kind of going with them while telling their story and while bringing it into the present, and then kind of setting the stage for the future and for all the what seems to be pretty awesome things that QN's going to be a part of. And it's just really cool to be spending some time with Dr. George Gonzalez and his family and just everyone within this community to really just learn how cool neurology is. First, really, I mean, it's just we like love neurology now, and just it's really cool to kind of have the just be able to interface with this community in that way. And like she said, it is a slightly different story because we are kind of going into his story, and he's like you said, Dr. Goodhart passed away a while ago, so we weren't able to actually interview him. So it's kind of cool to be able to bring that element into this.
And I think that everyone has their own story. I think that like there are many people exactly like Dr. Gonzalez who also have a story to tell. So I think that is something that people are going to resonate. They're going to resonate with his story.
Yeah.
So Veronica, I'm glad you brought that up because that actually was going to be my next question. So continuing on, I remember like watching the documentary and then seeing and knowing that you spent a lot of time in certain offices really capturing stories. And you may have like done like a half hour worth of interviews with people, or even close to an hour, to get 90 seconds of what they're going to be in the film. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, we like their own office, being there, interviewing their patients, interviewing the doctor, interviewing the doctors, the staff, where they were all like what budded was these own mini stories. And I know that some of our colleagues like Dr. Carrie Jacobson and Dr. Evan Mladenoff, and I know Dr. Steve Gangemi and other people, I know those names have come up because these offices are their own stories. They are their own biostackers. They are their own techniques and so on and so forth. And I know that a lot of them have contacted you and you're able to make what we call minis, if you will, or maybe there's a different name for them, like stories of their clinic that, these docs could afford to do, and that will tell their story rather than the fleeting Instagram posts, Facebook posts, LinkedIn's and TikToks of their clinic, which don't really tell the story of their clinic. But you'll be able, I know you've made some really like kind of legacy short form pieces for these different offices. I know we're going to do it at the Cohn Health Institute together, so we're excited about that, and we'll share that with everybody once that is produced. And a lot of these guys just biostack together, so it becomes natural. But like if someone's watching right now and they're a doctor, or someone's watching and they go see a doctor or to a clinic that they love and believe that that doctor or that clinic should tell their own story, how do they do that? How do they even begin to do that? I know it's happened a lot because you've been in so many offices organically, but how would they do it if they haven't met you or been in one of these documentaries yet?
I mean, reach out. We can have a conversation about it. Again, we feel that there's always a story. Everyone has a story, and I think that we can help you find it. Something that we hear a lot after filming someone is that they didn't realize how powerful their story was until they said it aloud. So some people have never had the platform to tell their story, and we help guide them in that process.
Yeah, and to continue on that, like she's saying, sometimes just through asking questions and spending time with people and just in a slightly different way, exactly what she's saying has been really cool to people say, I've never really thought about that. I've never really thought about how that might affect that. And it's been really cool to kind of see them have a better understanding of what it is they're doing and be even more clear on their passion. And again, most of these people that we've worked with have already done these incredible things and have fully established practices and everything, but to have more, even another step of clarity on what it is you're doing and to help get that out to the world, I think is a really important thing. But to get back to your question of how people can find us, I mean, our website, indigorisingfilms.com. You can find us on Instagram at Indigo Rising Films, and our YouTube channel is We Are Indigo Rising Films. So that's really where we exist, those three places. So you can really, we have a contact form on our website if you want to reach out. You can reach out to us on Instagram anyway, whatever works best for people.
That's awesome. So, there's a lot of stories that need to be told. I know we're not even near done with the Quantum Neurology story, but it is a fitting, third movie, if you will, or trilogy. That's the word I was looking for. But there's many others. Like a lot of these docs, as you know, do techniques like CRA, contact reflex analysis, and Dr. Versendahl's work. I think that story should be told, and maybe I'm calling it out right now that they should contact you. Or Dr. Milton Dowdy's CPK. There's a lot of our biostacking speakers that have biostacked that technique in with what it is, or the history and story of clinical kinesiology. I know that Dr. Bandy was in your AK documentary, is a big proponent of that. And, there's so many different layered in stories of these techniques and practitioners and innovators that are out there and could be out there. One thing I want to give you guys a plug of, because I've watched you interview people, and a lot of people are shy. They're not camera ready. They can't tell their story. They don't know how to tell their story. They think they have all their fears of public speaking, even though there's nobody in the room except you two. But you'll be able to make them comfortable, bring out their story, and actually help them tell their story, and that's part of the process. So whether it's a huge documentary that's a conglomerate of all these different chiefs or cooks in the kitchen, as we say, which is its own dance, as you know, to tell one story when everyone has their story that they think is the story. Good job on that. But even the person who has their story doesn't know how to tell it. I know that you've helped them tell it. And I know, first of all, I have to thank you too for being part of the BioStacking Summit, a sponsor of the BioStacking Summit, and your ridiculously generous offer. Could be the best offer yet of anybody. That for those who are VIP, listen, if you're not, you should be a VIP just for this. You have this in-depth consultation you do with people to not see if they have a story worth telling, but an interview process, things they fill out, and you go over it with them and kind of pitch their story to them of how you would tell their story, and which is super cool. Normally, I think it's at least $1,500 up to $2,500 to get that done, depending on the consultation. And you're doing it for, I have to pick up my paper and make sure I read it right. Free. Yeah, free. So, guys, don't waste your time. If you really seriously want to investigate, if you have a story to tell, you have a healing modality technique or a piece of equipment you want to actually highlight and see if these guys can do it. I'm not sure what your schedule is. It's probably going to be in 2026 sometime with how busy you guys are. And also, you guys do for people who I think for the VIPs too, especially the docs and people looking to make a documentary film or even a short form or even a mini, that you guys got a social media package that you do where you break it up into like 5 or 10 different pieces that they roll out, which is way better than what they're doing with by themselves or with their, Fiverr person, if you will. A little more like Hollywood looking, if you will. So that's I think that's like a 5K value that you're just throwing, $5,000 value. That's how much it costs. But you're going to throw that in if they book a project before the end. Now, guys, you can book your project, storyboard your project, and then get in the queue. I'm assuming by the end of the showing of this, once it's shown, that 2020 can get booked up right away. So, guys, if you're at all thinking about it, make that call, contact Luke and Veronica, and set up that consultation and have that talk about, your story. And there's a lot of stories that need to be told. I'm just blessed and excited to be part of the journey of a bunch of these things. And I'll definitely share mine when it comes out of the Cohn Health Institute. But I'm sure you'll see clips of us through all these other ones because nobody tells a story better than these guys in this space. There's a lot of stories that need to be told. I think we're going to keep you guys busy for the next 10 years making documentaries, just with the amount of stories and people and things that need to be told. So that being said, any last comments do you want to share about the process, the doing it, maybe even a story? Because I hear the stories all the time of like, I saw you in the documentary, or I saw so-and-so in this documentary. That had me finally make this call. I called. If I didn't make this call, my son, my daughter, my dad, my mom, myself would never have gotten our health back or gone to the next level. So there is that, as BJ Palmer, the son of the founder of chiropractic, says, that big idea of that one thing that you do, you'll never know how far reaching it will be. And I believe these documentaries are doing that in ways that nothing can do like it. So any thoughts or experiences on that you want to leave this BioStacking audience with?
Sure, yeah. So just in terms of where we are now with social media, and it's a very oversaturated place, and you used the word earlier, which is a legacy piece. That's kind of what we pride ourselves on doing, is creating, because everyone's story is unique to them. So essentially creating a legacy piece that can live for a long time on their website, wherever they want it to be. And it can be a piece that people can return to and see, like, what is it like what is their what is their angle, what is it they're offering, and for people to get a little taste of what you're actually like and what your story is. Because we say that social media content is meant to catch your attention, documentary content is meant to hold it. So our job is to essentially hold people's attention by telling the deeper stories that a lot of people have never had the opportunity to tell. And that's really what we aim to do with our work.
Yeah, absolutely. We feel that, like we've said, storytelling is what really attracts you to someone. Like, I think when I scroll Instagram, there's so many ads, and at this point, I just keep scrolling. There's so many, but I do feel that there's a right way to do it, and that's being vulnerable and opening yourself up to your audience, your clients, and we will help you do that.
And one last thing I wanted to say also on that is that a big important thing for us is basically making people feel comfortable and safe throughout the process. Because I worked in the film industry, and a lot of times it's very stressful, it's very chaotic, and a lot of people being filmed are not always super relaxed or comfortable. And it's really important to us that we didn't bring that energy into what we do, that people feel, again, not like there's a camera being pointed in their face and this is this big high pressure thing, but that they feel relaxed, and we come to their environment and we help them feel as comfortable as possible so that we can capture their story rather than force them into something that doesn't feel natural to them. Like, we want to capture you and what you're doing, not anything else. That's really the most important part of what we do.
Well, I was going to give you the last word, but I'm not. I'm going to make the last word be this shameless plug, because, hey, I really love watching your documentary, so I'm always going to keep pushing, not just you guys to say yes to these projects, but other people to invest in themselves to do it, because I think it pays off 1,000-fold. And I'll give you a testimonial about an office that shared with me that they, once you did their mini documentary for them or their short form thing, made sure they make every single patient or new patient in their office watch it before they come in for their first visit. And they report that it saved them hours and hours and hours and hours of explaining, talking people into this new concept, all this kind of stuff. Where they watch the documentary, they come in and they're ready to go. I cannot tell you the amount of time and energy you get back in your life to be able to have something like this as a practitioner of these different techniques. Because it's one thing, because I've sent people, we have at the Cohn Health Institute, the NET documentary, the AK documentary, it's a lot to watch. But if you can send somebody just the microcosm of that with what's particular to your clinic, it is amazing. And then the best part is that those people were then sending the documentary, or their, like, it was, I think, a 5 or 10 minute film, and they send it on to their friends. And so it's a referral piece, because if your friends or your new patients try and tell somebody about what you did, they're like, I don't know, they did something with their arm and pushed these spots and my neck felt better. You know what I mean? Or they did this and I don't have diarrhea anymore, whatever the thing was, right? And so they don't know. But if they get habits explained properly in a nice looking way by the person that's doing it, as a practice builder for somebody, or just helping expand your office or expanding your reach or your virtual practice or whatever you're doing, it is amazing, and it pays for itself 1,000-fold. So I can't, in this day and age, once people see what you guys are doing, I don't know, you're going to have to hire other people and train them to do what you're doing, because everyone needs to tell their story. No one's doing it in a professional manner. It's affordable to do it, and it exponentially will rise above, like Veronica said, the noise of just every third post when you scroll is an ad for something. So anyway, guys, love and appreciate you. Appreciate the time, your passion, your heart space, and for telling a lot of these stories. And I know there are other speakers and brands that are part of this summit that I'm sure will be knocking at your door. So thanks for your time.
Thank you so much for having us on.
So whenever I want to think, I drive. It's a nice moving meditation for me. What we do is often described as frequency medicine. The evaluation of the nervous system code is the same from person to person, but their presentation is unique.
People are looking for that quick fix, but if the nervous system isn't strong, it's not going to work.
Yeah, big difference, actually.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's more responsive.
Nothing is faster than the speed of your nervous system.
So we strengthen the gaps, and now we're going to strengthen you even further through sequencing the ranges of motion. That's what's amazing about neurology. It's so powerful that, one, it could lock you up, but it could also unlock you very quickly. And now we're scanning for what's called a gap. The gap is the circuit break in your spine. The entire nervous system is communicating constantly and instantaneously. I call it a holographic nervous system.
Dr. George got my vision back from like 17, 18% to almost 70%.
And within an hour, Dr. George has got me up, walking around, talking, and my son is just like, you know what, Dad? If I didn't see that, I wouldn't believe it. It was just a miracle.
I know what it feels like to be a desperate patient, to be told, there's no hope for you. Don't think about getting pregnant. Start looking at a wheelchair. 29 years old. No way. And George did not accept that.
We get the nervous system to turn the corner and recognize where it's not doing its job. Amazing things can happen.